exactly. There was, and as I told you earlier, there wasn't much, it didn't carry much water.
Sure thing.
Indeed, because Kenya is at the limb of surpassing unnecessary violence, like what we saw, we've been seeing this. And I think the decision comes quite timely in the need of the East African community to push forth. Definitely now that it's allowing in other members, we have heard that there are also discussions to have Somalia.
Well, I mean, that would be quite interesting.
So if you're talking about new things, that is one of them. But also back home here, quite a number of things are definitely happening. And if you relate with what's happening in Central region, whenever it rains, there are fears, you know, you're prone to have a couple of accidents.
True.
There's a lot of invisibility, the potholes, the flooding and all these kind of things. Now this, remember, happens amidst kids are back to school.
Oh yes, the roads are quite chaotic this morning, I must say.
Yeah. Previously, it's been a ride, good ride from home to here. But now, oh yeah, parents are in a rush. For me, it just gives me joy, though.
Yes.
It's a good feeling being on the road when you see parents are engaged, taking schools, shuttles are taking. I think it's just so sightly. It's a beautiful thing for a country like Uganda, looking at how people are interested to have their children back to school.
Absolutely.
For me, that's the very much eye-catching thing.
And I mean, we just need to be happy for all the parents who are able to take back their children. Of course, there is a percentage of parents who are still facing quite some hardships and challenges when it comes to taking back the children, you know, because of the school fees, some hardships here and there. So parents are really trying to put it together to make sure the children are back at school. Our prayer, though, is that you eventually get to have them return and get back into the education system. Uncle Bob, how are you doing this Tuesday?
I'm very fine. I'm happy that finally the choir master, the man who strongly believes and is rooted in his faith, William Ruto, was confirmed. And of course, the petition was dismissed. So we are now sure that comes 13th of this very month, he will be sworn in as the 5th president of Kenya. And I'm happy that has come to an end. Though also I send my sincere prayers to Brother Raila Odinga. You know, 5th attempt, it means so much that he's tried and tried. And I may think this could be his final shot. Don't see him at 77 again, having another 5 years to appear on the ballot. But you never know, Africa, anything can happen. So I'm happy for the Kenyans that all is well that ends well, and I must say they've gotten to that. Back home, there was a story by Fred Enanga. Okay, for him, he speaks what police has come up with. And then this socialite called Sipapa. I don't know if you've heard of Sipapa.
Oh yes, I have. I've heard. His name has crossed my ears at one point.
Yes, he has been so controversial. One time, we hear he shot in some Nup supporters in Kamocha. He shot art. Then the other time, you hear he's splashing money, this and that. But police is hunting for him over a robbery. And the police spokesperson yesterday came out to say a lot of money was, people were chloroformed, jewelry, laptops, iPhones and everything. This is a person who has been painting the city, and more so to the youth. You know, we have, Uganda is funny that we have these rich guys that come up, young lads.
Yes. That
come up. Now you have Brian White, then you have then you have this other one who just came in, says, you know, and their source of money is not clear at all, neither known to anybody. And the media gives them the space, they move everywhere, and the young man believes, and many youth come to think you can wake up one day and you're rich. Some, they will tell you, Yabiraku computer, he uses internet. There's so much, but when police comes out and says, we're hunting for this person, and which is not the first time actually. One time there was some video circulating saying that is the man who was carrying out robbery somewhere. But we hope and pray that justice will prevail, because some of these people, there is a way they find their way to proximity to power.
But you know, I've had people on several occasions wonder, and I mean, they're always wondering if we cannot identify the source of money of the so-called socialites. We need to see you making quite some solid investments, or at least we need to know that you have you have a legal source of this money. Otherwise, if it doesn't, there will always be questions. People will be always finding holes in your stories, and how even if you splash the money, there are people who need the money, but the source also matters. I mean, the other day we were talking about the illicit flow of money in the country. So if you're seeing stories like this, it's really, really quite sad, because we are talking about 70,000 US dollars. That's quite a lot of money for you to have in cash and in your house. But
and in your house, though, but also to my good friend Enanga, many times you've come up and spoken about certain people, and not real action is taken. I remember recently he came out and said the IGP has directed we get this man's car found because of some criminality still had been involved in. 3 days I was somewhere, I see the man around the same car, same everything. I was like, then why do you speak what you know that really no serious action is going to be taken? Because at the end of the day, people begin assuming when you talk about this person who has had a number of case files and not much is done. This time you go and say, now we are hunting for him. I think we really have to find ways of ensuring that people find authority and assurance in what you're speaking sometimes. And just, if we know that may not be, then I think some of these things we should excuse ourselves from bringing them publicly.
Well, at least I know that if it's a crime, obviously punishment has to be put to it, and we are yet to see what's going to happen after this, or what action is police going to take respectively. Well, many stories again are happening, and some of them are really tragic stories, others are quite shocking, others are quite encouraging, but whichever story that it is you're looking for, we are here to deliver as Good Morning Uganda. But again, if you missed out on what was happening yesterday, if you missed our bulletins, well, time for us to take you through some of these big stories on the local scene, on the international scene when it comes to climate. How are we doing to change the usual narrative? But for now, some of the stories here at home.
And we'll kick it off with a political party, that is Forum for Democratic Change, FDC, that came out and called upon government to increase the education budget by increasing the capitation grant for UPE and USE schools every financial year to meet the needs of education. FDC's deputy spokesperson John Chikonyogo told the media that government inadequate funding and economic hardships are forcing school administrators to hike school fees. Ministry of Education and Sports urges school administrators to seek permission from the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports, before increasing school fees. As schools reopened for third term, parents, guardians decried of the high charges as they returned learners to school for the third term. The State Minister for Education, John Chrisisto Muyingo, advised school administrators to charge original charges, but FDC deputy spokesperson John Chikonyogo attributed this situation to insufficient funding from government. Meanwhile, FDC is satisfied with government's plan to reduce the number of border riders in Kampala to 7,000, yet they are going to create unemployment because many will be put out of business.
For now, the northern Uganda region, the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council region Qadi Sheikh Abdulaziz Hussein Abdallah has resigned, citing abuse of power and breach of the Muslim constitution. Now, Sheikh Abdulaziz told journalists in Kampala that he will join the rival Chibodi faction and continue to serve in the same region as a Muslim leader. Now, the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council region Qadi for northern Uganda, Sheikh Abdulaziz, did resign, citing leadership anomalies by his superiors in Kampala. Sheikh Abdulaziz told journalists at Kenyena Hotel Mengo that Mufti Sheikh Shaban Mubaji and Secretary General Haji Ramazan Mugalu are still holding office illegally, having been impeached by the General Assembly on the 6th of July. Now, he further accused the duo of fueling mere disunity of device and rule among Muslim. Sheikh Abdul also claims that ever since he was appointed to the same office in March 2019 with a monthly salary of shillings 1.5, the Kampala leadership ceased even to remit his monthly after challenging them on their vices.
And moving on, Leader District rejects State House Anti-Corruption Directive. Leader District local government has rejected to implement the directive issued by State House Anti-Corruption Unit. Earlier, the Chief Accounting Officer Leader was directed to write a letter revoking all the land titles issued on government land. But in their sitting Last week, the Lira District Council resolved that the COW should not heed to the unit's directive. During the 31st of August council meeting, Lira District COW Ben Otim informed council that he received a directive from State House to cancel all land titles issued to squatters in Erada E. This the council rejected and said they will not succumb to this directive.
We're now crossing over to Kenya, where we see the Supreme Court of Kenya has upheld the Kenyan Kwanza Alliance Dr. William Ruto's victory as the 5th duly elected President of the Republic of Kenya. Now, this follows the dismissal of the 5 petitions filed against Ruto by the petitioners led by Raila Odinga, challenging his victory as President-elect. Justice of the Supreme Court, led by Chief Justice Martha Koome, have upheld William Ruto's election. Now, Ruto's victory as the 5th President of Kenya, the Apex Court highlights 9 issues on which to determine the petition filed by Azimio La Umoja candidate Raila Odinga with other 6 petitioners in consent judgment on issues 1 and 2 concerning the technology deployed by IEBC. Court did also confirm that the declared president attained 50% plus 1 vote basing on the IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati's evidence, and although the petitioner had claimed that they had enough evidence to prove the presidential election had massive irregularities and misconduct, the consolidated presidential election petition all failed.
Now, moving on to some of the international stories, Canada police have said that one of the 2 suspects in Sunday's mass stabbings in Saskatchewan has been found dead. The body of Damien Sanderson, 31 years, was found in the James Smith Cree Nation, home to several victims, they said. The 2 suspects were brothers, and police say Miles Sanderson is still at large and believed to be in the city of Regina. On Sunday, 10 people were stabbed to death in one of the worst acts of violence in Canada's recent history. The attacks, which left another 18 people injured, happened in a remote region of Saskatchewan. In Regina, the province's capital city where the suspects were last seen, families are in mourning and communities on edge. But in the city center on Monday evening, there were no obvious signs of the manhunt. The city was mostly quiet as families gathered to enjoy the Labor Day holiday, the unofficial end to summer. Now, every so often, that calm was interrupted by piercing alerts ringing on mobile phones, warning of 2 adult male suspects, and then just one still on the run. Officers from 3 provinces, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta, are involved in the search. The brutal spree of violence has rocked the typically peaceful province, with police investigating 13 different crime scenes. Both Damien and Miles were charged with murder despite not being arrested. Now, in more tragic news, at least 46 people have been killed after a 6.6 magnitude earthquake hit southwestern China, according to state media. The quake struck at 13:00 local time in Sichuan province at a depth of 10 kilometers, which is about 6 miles. The impact severe telecommunication lines and triggered mountain landslides that caused serious damage, according to local media. Some 21 million people in Sichuan's capital, Chengdu, were last week ordered to stay at home because of COVID rules. The epicenter of the quake was at Luding, a town in a remote mountain region located about 226 kilometers southwest of Chengdu, according to the China Earthquake Networks Center. State broadcaster said 17 people died in the city of Yan, while 29 deaths were reported in the neighboring prefecture of Ganzi. Tremors shook buildings in Chengdu and the neighboring megacity of Chongqing, leaving roads blocked and cutting communication lines in areas home to more than 10,000 residents. The shocks also forced some power stations to shut down in the areas of Gaz and Yan, according to state media.
Well, still back into Kenya, where we did see the Supreme Court did come out to make ruling that William Ruto was properly elected as president, now also dismissing several petitions seeking to annul the results of the 9th August election. His rival Raila Odinga and others had alleged that there had been massive fraud, but in a searching ruling, the judges said some of the petitioners had falsified evidence. Now, the 55-year-old will be sworn in as the country's 5th president next week. Following the ruling, Mr. Ruto said he would extend a hand of friendship to his political opponents and praised the judiciary and the Electoral Commission for upholding the will of the people.
Well, I must say that most Kenyans have been looking out for the very first time that William Ruto will be meeting Uhuru Kenyatta, when they shake hands and they actually walk down together. And again, the man is ready to do that. I think Uhuru Kenyatta has had his fair share of the responsibilities that come with this very specific position. And he says, I'll do what I have to do. But I must tell you, this man cannot. I feel like he's on a countdown. He wants to officially hand over. And he's like, listen, my Mr. Sir, the chair is officially yours.
Definitely the feeling of, you can imagine, he losing to his deputy,
yes,
who he seemingly betrayed, prima facie, prima facie at the face of it.
Or who betrayed who? Because each would say betrayal. Uhuru will tell you it was betrayal.
Well, depends the magnitude.
Yeah.
And the timing is also key.
Yeah.
There's someone who will do something to you at a point where probably you needed them most. But the other onlookers also anticipate that, wasn't this really planned? That this would give mileage to Ruto?
Was this strategy?
Absolutely. Some of the political analysts look at it,
yes,
as strategy, that this would have given Ruto quite a big mileage,
yes,
which definitely did. Sympathy vote and all this kind of things. So let's see. Let's just
but I'm happy that Uhuru comes out and says, I'm ready. Actually, he said the process of handing over began as early as 10th
Did he have a choice?
month.
In fact, I don't know why some people say some things. Did he have a choice?
I mean, it's
there was
you
that
have
belief
to officially hand
there's
over and
nothing
then move.
natural.
Like the
You've
country
seen
has
Trump.
to. Yes.
There's nothing
Donald
special.
Trump, during
Yes.
the swearing-in ceremony of Joe Biden, he's one of America's presidents who never surfaced. He chose to go towards it, his farm or his
But you
country
see,
home, or
it's that is a personal decision. If the Constitution works like that,
Whether he
you're
likes
who
or
who
not.
you're not above the Constitution,
Did
you
they
are
hand over
ideally
government
supposed
anyway?
to.
He's actually, so he's not doing a favor.
Oh yeah, some of them behave like they're doing the country
No,
favors,
no.
but that's not how it is.
Though it would have been very beautiful,
Yes,
looking at Uhuru hand over to Ruto, if they went through all this together.
oh
It
yes.
would have been a really beautiful scenery.
But I'm also sure that this guy picked some interesting lessons from Uhuru before things really went south.
Ruto is a smart man.
He has been
Ruto
DP
is a
for 10
smart
years.
man.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but the beauty of the same is that the break in the pedigree in the Kenyan politics does bring realization that the Wananchi, you know, the Kwanza, the wheelbarrow people, the hustler, can definitely rise to the epitome of governance and break the chains of family political pedigree.
Well,
that's the message.
Yeah, should we cut it out only to Kenya or Africa?
No, we can't cut it to Africa.
Oh, come on!
No.
You can't be that
Kenya,
biased.
what happened in Kenya
It's
is not relatable to many African countries.
Yeah.
It's not.
Because and the fact that Kenya has chosen to stay unique in how it wants to have a definition of its politics makes very much sense. If they keep on the trajectory of democracy and human sanity, giving civility power, trust me, they're gonna go far and far vis-a-vis some of the countries that we won't mention.
Needless to mention. So, and that is where I want to tell you, whatever happens,
Well, anarchies.
whatever happens, the best thing is you to be alive and tell the story. That we were here when a hustler became a president of Kenya. So we need you longer, we need you here, and you must look after your body. How do you do that? By boosting your immune system. Simple. Each of these bottles goes for 1,500 at any nearest shop, retail, supermarket, you just ask for hallelujah, tamarind drink, hallelujah, ginger tea, or hallelujah, banana fruit juice. And these will boost your immune system so that you'll live longer, you'll be more productive because you won't be feeling sick, and of course unable to perform some of your roles, and at the end of the day make a huge saving for you to enjoy life.
Well, get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah and indeed live up to what Uncle Bob has already said. I know Felix has a bottle over there, and it could be interesting. You should give it a try.
I do.
Well, it is good morning, Uganda, and we are still here with you all the way. We still have some good pleasurable time together. Now be part of us, be part of our conversations and our discussions. Get onto our social media platforms. That is one way, by getting onto our Twitter hashtag UBCGMU and see what we are talking about. And you can always give us your feedback regarding the topic of discussion at hand. And we, of course, would really love to know what you have to think about what we have to say. You could send us a text message, you could send us a WhatsApp message. Rest assured we'll be able to get all of them and share them with the rest of Uganda. But for now, we're going in for the Tuesday inspiration song, and when we get back, we'll be having quite some more conversations about what happened in Kenya yesterday. And of course, this is in concernment with the ruling that was passed by Supreme Court and the kind of effect it has on the East African community. How do we benefit? What does this mean to us? All right, all these questions, the whats, the whens, the whys and hows, will definitely be trying to answer those. We'll be back shortly after this break. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.
National Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, Kenya must be having quite a very, very wide and broad smile, saying that now it's official that the man, William Ruto, is the president-elect for the country. If you had any more questions, I must tell you that all those were definitely silenced by the Supreme Court after the ruling they did pass yesterday. While it's not only Kenya that is quite in a celebratory mood, we are looking at the UK that is also having officially a new replacement for Boris Johnson, and I am talking about Liz Truss, who is going to be the next Prime Minister for the United Kingdom. Good morning, Uganda. I must say changes are taking over. Well, I don't know what is changing in your new life, you as a Good Morning Uganda family member, but I'm hoping and praying that you still have new changes that will be coming through. My name is Philomena Mastiko, and it is the second day of this week. That is a Tuesday, the 6th day of September 2022. I must say it's quite a jaunty Tuesday morning, and I hope this can rub off on you as we go by. Of course, I am with a gentleman with me, and I am talking about Felix NKUNDA. I do have Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono. Well, Felix, changes, like I said, are taking over. I don't know if there is anything new in your life. I don't know if there are changes you're experiencing, or maybe you're being part of the people who are celebrating the changes. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Philo. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing fine. How
well, definitely, I was a strong voucher for the likes of DP Ruto, definitely. And of course, I love the fact that court did take into account the various arguments by the court, and
yes,
how they rubbished a bit of the petition of the...
You said it. You said it. Very many people have been trying to find a way of saying the same thing, but in totally different ways.
Honestly, there was, and as I told you earlier, there wasn't much, it didn't carry much water.
Sure thing.
Indeed, because Kenya is at the limp of surpassing unnecessary violence, like what we saw, we've been seeing this. And I think the decision comes quite timely in the need of the East African community to push forth. Definitely now that it's allowing in other members, we have heard that there are also discussions to have Somalia.
Well, I mean, that would be quite interesting.
So if you're talking about new things, that is one of them. But also back home here, quite a number of things are definitely happening. And if you relate with what's happening in Central region, whenever it rains, there are fears, you know, you're prone to have a couple of accidents.
True.
There's a lot of invisibility, the potholes, the flooding and all these kind of things. Now this, remember, happens amidst kids are back to school.
Oh yes, the roads are quite chaotic
jam
this morning, I must say.
Yeah. Previously, it's been a good ride from home to here. But now, oh yeah, parents are in a rush. For me, it just gives me joy, though.
Yes.
It's a good feeling being on the road when you see parents are engaged, taking schools, shuttles are taking. I think it's just so sightly. It's a beautiful thing for a country like Uganda, looking at how people are interested to have their children back to school.
Absolutely.
For me, that's the very much eye-catching thing.
And I mean, we just need to be happy for all the parents who are able to take back their children. Of course, there is a percentage of parents who are still facing quite some hardships and challenges when it comes to taking back the children, you know, because of the school fees, some hardships here and there. So parents are really trying to put it together to make sure the children are back at school. Our prayer, though, is that you eventually get to have them return and get back into the education system. Uncle Bob, how are you doing this Tuesday?
I'm very fine. I'm happy that finally the choir master, the man who strongly believes and is rooted in his faith, William Ruto, was confirmed. And of course, the petition was dismissed. So we are now sure that comes 13th of this very month, he will be sworn in as the 5th president of Kenya. And I'm happy that has come to an end. Though also I send my sincere prayers to Brother Raila Odinga. You know, 5th attempt, it means so much that he's tried, and I may think this could be his final shot. Don't see him at 77 again, having another 5 years to appear on the ballot.
With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions plus a World Cup, make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Ooh, they look nice.
Thank you, honey.
You guys gather, it's going down. Gather! Gather! Yo!
I tell you what. Yo!
Airtel is giving you bigger data bundles for the same price. Dial *175# to choose from our range of bigger Chillax bundles that don't expire. Bigger monthly bundles, all for the same price. And stay connected longer to loved ones. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the news reel this Tuesday morning. My name is Philomena once again, and I am joined by the gentlemen, Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono, and Felix NKUNDA. We are today focusing on the outcomes of what happened yesterday when the Supreme Court of Kenya did declare that, listen, William Ruto still stands to be the president-elect for the Republic of Kenya. Now, these were petitions that were fronted by the camp of Raila Odinga, of course, in disagreement with whatever results were presented by the IEBC after the elections that were held last month. It was quite a very hot contest between these two contenders for the presidential position. Now, there are actually there were about 9 cases that were fronted during this petition, and responses to these 9 cases were officially given by the Supreme Court yesterday. Now, one of them was, of course, concerning the 50+1. We did also have another concern that was raised about the technology that was used during the election process, and also the IEBC about being opaque. Now, these are some of the 9 cases that were fronted by Raila Odinga's camp. But just to take you through the 50+1, the Supreme Court did say that it was actually attained, and they ruled that President-elect Ruto attained this required 50+1 threshold, and they did say that this was in accordance with the law. And of course, moving on to how what kind of technology was used by IEBC, and was it the clear kind of technology? The Supreme Court judges really did say that the transmission system did actually meet the standards, and again, this did not sit well with Raila's camp. And also, to move on concerning the IEBC not opaque, because this was again one of the other things that were put on the table and was causing quite a lot of friction. The Supreme Court did say that the IEBC conducted elections as required by the law, and they went on to say that verification was actually carried out, tallying and declaration as per the law. So these and many more really were all put out on the table yesterday while the final verdict was being put out. Now, of course, the supporters of William Ruto were really excited about this, I must say, and they're quite in a celebratory mode. While, of course, Raila's camp is a bit it didn't sit well with them, of course. And the lawyers came out to say that, listen, we understand what the court did come out as the final verdict, and we'll go by it, but we actually don't agree with whatever it is they said, right? Yes, we are going in for the president. He's going to be sworn in, but we still feel like all these responses that were given to us were not satisfactory enough. Now, Felix, when we see this, I mean, what does this mean? Because they were not in agreement with the results that were put out by the IEBC, and they decided to petition. Even after the court has come out with the final ruling, they still feel like these are not satisfactory responses they expected. How do we interpret this? Well,
what we saw, or what we've been seeing for the last 7 days in Nairobi, in the Supreme Court, just to taint the legal chronicle of that same proceeding, is that it's an emanation of queries that arise from a presidential election. Now, where there's a presidential election in any country, majorly for those that are constitutional for that matter, and that Kenya being so, there are remedies or ways that are given in case there's any form of dissatisfaction. However, these must arise from a process that is legal, for starters. Now, a presidential election petition is one that is unique in its own way. And why? One, there are people who are there to make determination upon issues raised that pertain a process, which process definitely is not an individual process but a countrywide process. Under, I think it's Article 140 of the Constitution of Kenya, maybe C, sub clause C,
they talk about what shall be validated in a presidential election petition. No wonder, as earlier you said, there were about 9 petitioners,
yes,
but only probably 7 could be taken. And later on, they were merged to form a case of Raila Odinga and others versus William Ruto and others as well. Now, the consolidation of these issues means that they were more or less the same issues. When court sits over these issues, there's what they call, under normal legal processes, what they call scheduling conference. That again, the parties will meet, including the judges and the lawyers, to pick out those issues that court should expound. Issues in law are basically questions that should be answered as court tries, by evidence, by what. Now, those are the 9 issues I think you are reading about: the return of Form 30 for the technology used, if whether there was rigging, there was fraud, the opaqueness. Those are the ones that court chose and deemed fit. And it is not just court, even the legal teams agreed that these will be the issues we shall deliberate upon. Nothing outside these particular issues, because this is what forms the critical and profound attribution of the necessary pleadings of court. I'm coming to the point where you say there was this they
were really dissatisfied with the
but I'm trying to show you that the process, they're part of the process from the beginning, as the petitioners, by the way. Now, having gotten these issues out, court demands, and that's the process of the Supreme Court in terms of presidential election petitions, that they file the evidence to prove all their deliberations, if there are affidavits, if there are witness statements, to back up these 9 issues. And these are the ones they made presentations over. That's why court dealt with issue by issue. Team for Raila brought their issues in relation to these issues. The evidence, the proof, lawyers made deliberation, they spoke nice English, they dressed well, all these things as you have been seeing to support these 9 issues.
Yes.
And it means that for every other issue that was agreed to be deliberated upon by the court was dealt with extensively. Now, in matters that are civil in nature, this one not being a civil matter, no criminal, but it's by far, if you want to place it, it's by far a matter that of civil, because what is most important when you're doing litigation like presidential election petitions is evidence. You must have evidence to move court, because the judges
Felix, these guys brought a whole lorry of...
It wasn't good enough. And a whole lorry of empty boxes.
A whole lorry and boxes. We saw them bringing boxes and putting them there.
You must have evidence that can convince court.
Tell you what,
because when you hear this,
it is not just about the boxes. We have seen the likes of the Mabis bring trucks of I don't know what was in it. People can photocopy. You see, in law school we have different law reports. Like I remember we used to read a lot of the all England law reports, but the whole library would be full. So someone can just go and photocopy a law report. Purposes of dancing to the gallery. You know how politicians
creating an image that we have.
But in this kind of litigation, judges will be moved by evidence, but not just evidence. There's what we call persuasive and binding. Now, you could have had a lot of good persuasive, but the evidence is not binding on the subject matter before court. No wonder. This is what we call a preponderance of evidence, that when the team of Raila comes to make an argument, in this case, as you have always been saying, that this form, there was fraud, court will listen. But when the team of probably Ruto comes, the preponderance, it keeps changing. Now, it depends on how good your presentation vis-a-vis the evidence to either quash or prove is.
Yes.
The balance of probability will lie where the evidence is much heavy. Now, the worst bit of presidential election petitions is this, and everywhere in the world, that the one making the allegation, the onus is much on you to prove.
Because you're the one who is actually
Absolutely.
You're the one
now,
bringing
that's the hardest part of presidential or any election petition, that when you bring this matter to court, the burden is more on you to prove what you're alleging. Now, the other party would simply be there waiting. What you say is what they
defend.
Yes.
That was the problem. And if you keenly followed this case, you notice that the petitioners failed to put the other party to a position where they had to make a substantial defense. And they did not compel court to make a ruling otherwise, which was the opposite of the previous matter. Previously, the court was able to prove. Actually, the Odinga team was able to prove in the previous case against Uhuru. There was overwhelming evidence. This time round, the reverse is true. What does this mean, as you said? Lawyers, whenever we go to court, or for those who go to court in that particular jurisdiction, the expectation is that they come out as winners. But the guarantee is not bestowed in the ideas of the legalese they practice.
Yes.
And justice is not only for those who wish it for themselves, but rather for them that deserve it as given. So it may be an injustice to the team of Raila Odinga, but later on it was justice to the team of William Ruto. So the question is where you fall to appreciate justice.
Yes.
So if you want justice so much, fall on the side where it belongs. Just
so that they fell on the wrong side in this case.
Absolutely. And that doesn't make it an injustice.
Yes.
It's you being on the wrong side of justice. As simple as that.
Well, now while welcoming the verdict from the Supreme Court, of course, the President-elect William Ruto said that, well, the Supreme Court was actually impartial and they were really patriotic. He was very, very happy about this. Now, he's going to be sworn in on the 13th of this month. That is probably 7 days from today. And maybe this is where, Robert, I really want you to come in, talking about the systems, especially in regards to the timeframes that have been put in the whole election process by the Constitution of Kenya. We did say that they have a very specific time that they allocate for all these responsibilities. We know that elections are supposed to happen during a span of this period. We know that if you really want to petition, you have a certain amount of time. You have 7 days probably to present your case to court. And we know that the Supreme Court has about, 7 days to pass the final ruling. We know that even after that has been done, 7 days, the new president, the president-elect, should be sworn in to be officially in that kind of position and to start holding up to his responsibilities. Now, when we look at all these systems, they're quite transparent, I must say. They're quite well designed and well designated. Everybody knows who is supposed to do when, how, why, and in what kind of manner. I mean, what does this really mean to the rest of the East African region? Because we do have very many other countries. Like you did say at the start, actually, Felix, at the start, you did say that you and Robert were in total argument when I talked about us trying to be like Kenya, and you're like, no, Kenya is quite a different country in this story. It has a bit of its unique, yes,
just so the
absolutely.
Know, and whoever is interested. I don't think that comes from a bad place, but it comes from a place of fact.
Yes, of facts. It has its own way, or unique way of doing things.
And because of the background, it lies in the history we share. Okay?
So I mean, how does this reflect on the East African community or the East African bloc generally?
First, I want to begin by congratulating the people of Kenya for this milestone, because we must say that Kenya has ever had and tested the results of a violent election, the result of not letting systems work. And here we are in 2002, looking at this East African member state that has excelled as far as holding a smooth process of seeing a new president in the leadership, respecting the constitution, respecting these processes. Many thought, actually one of the things I noted yesterday was how the judge in this case, how they brought out issue by issue of the 9, and how they were clear, and actually the spell of time. You know, I've watched about 2 or 3 electoral petitions one in Uganda and also another country. And there was simplicity, brief and everything. But looking at the East African community, each of these countries has a different history. We must accept. And I want to say democracy could have arrived at different times. However, all of them crave and talk about democracy. Now, we have countries where our history is that we have military governments. We have those that have civil government. I think Kenya is one of the countries that have benefited from this, that they have consistently embraced systems, leave alone when we saw them at The Hague and they had all these challenges. Now, East African member states, we want to believe that we benchmark, we share some of these good examples that happen. However, putting in mind, like I said, we are in the East African community, but each of the country is independent and they have a different background that shapes their politics. For example, when you go to Rwanda, if you look at their politics, from genocide, then you have where you had the power of the gun capture power. When you come to Uganda, who forget our rich history, that even in the preamble of our constitution, we pledge that never shall we go back to this. So that also shapes a bit of our levels of democracy. When you go to our brothers in Kenya, right from the Kenyatas, come to Moi, you see that they have had a sequence of civility in terms of their leadership. Go to Tanzania, Mzee Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, the foundation he laid for that country. So these historical backgrounds greatly shape our democracy and how we do things, despite the fact that we all crave to have a perfect democracy. But also I want to believe Kenya, they learned so much from one of their elections that saw even leaders go to the ICC. Because when you look at these campaigns, even how they were handling, all of them had one thing they were mentioning: we should maintain peace. We should not go back to fresh memories of what we've just seen.
In whatever you do, peace should be at the back of your mind. Whether
when you listen to Ruto during his campaign time, when you listen to Raila Odinga, they were all very mindful. When you listen to the various politicians, they were all very mindful, and at one level, all of them would remind Kenyans that, hey, look, we just witnessed this, the wounds are fresh. Some of the victims are still here with us. So that also had an impact on shaping. But also how different Kenya was is, I want to say, they had mature politicians as well. You know, age being a virtue in this, but also looking at experience in politics. Ruto, in terms of governance and leadership, is not new. Neither do we see Raila Odinga. Of course, my good friend Wajachoya could be coming from another world altogether, and you could differentiate also his statements. Yes. When he comes out and says whatever happens, this election has not been fair, whether Ruto, whether me, you would see there's a bit of, but the two people who are leading this had that political maturity in them. They have been in the system and they were able to understand that no matter what happens, none of us is greater than Kenya. Mm-hmm. I think that is one of the things that we must understand, that politics is not a do or die, but also remember that we should let systems. Many people will tell you that how do we see a sitting president support a candidate with those resources, then that candidate is beaten in an election.
Yes.
That's why many will tell you, but that's why I say this question. Some Africans in their minds believe it can't be. Uhuru can't support Raila Odinga, and Odinga loses an election. Mm-hmm. It just can't be. How? You know, some will tell you, I think he supported him, but didn't give him state machinery. Because that is what I used to. Some would come and tell you, but maybe it was a ploy that if you distance yourself from me, it will work out. So still you find at the back of many Africans, because this is not something we are used to, many don't believe that systems can work.
Because this is actually one of the main points that caused a lot of conversation about the Kenyan elections in general. You know, the differences that have been purported to be between the President Uhuru Kenyatta and the President-elect, that is William Ruto. They're saying these two have been buddies, you know, political buddies. And now things are really taking a different turn. And people have been talking quite a lot about that. You guys earlier on were actually creating some banter here saying maybe, I mean, this is something that could have given them mileage. So I could say that Kenyans were quite...
And you know why we go to that background is because African elections, many of them have been shaped where it is very hard for an incumbent to lose an election, whether supported or not supported. It turns out a winner to some. So there is that belief that, you know, when abnormality becomes normal, you act normal as seen as abnormal. You get it?
Yes.
So this is the case. However, it's a good example to take home.
Felix, you're saying something.
Yeah, you know, listening to what Robert is saying and trying to place descriptions and differences to the different democracies as they are practiced differently, again, in different jurisdictions. You must keep in mind one thing. The biggest question for all political style, activity, and fashion is the big question: what is at stake? The reason why Kenyan elections turned out the way they did, the question is what is at stake for the president outgoing, president incoming, and the opposition. What is at stake? If you want to answer this question, for example, for the likes of Kenyatta, what?
Maybe that is just...
It is. That's the whole thing. Yes. It's not like when he was serving, he created an empire, he's protecting. Hey, what is at stake? What is at stake for the likes of Raila Odinga? That he will come out and tell you, let us be peaceful. This is just a process we have to go through.
Sure.
What is at stake? When you go to the team, the likes of DP Ruto, now president, what is at stake for him if he lost or he won? It is simply an election. Go to other countries, ask yourself, the ones you want to compare Kenya with, what is at stake? People will cling on power to protect empires because that is at stake. When you go to some of the West African countries, the challenges, people like Gaddafi were only willing to rule the countries probably till they die because they had a lot at stake.
Yes.
That's why you see some leaders, even at some point, want to introduce other family members because there's a lot at stake.
But is this for them? Is it for them or looking at the country?
Definitely for them.
It ceases to be for the country.
No, yes.
But however, there's an element of the state. For example, countries like Uganda, you can't miss to intertwine the state and individuals. Because, and the answer is simple, because the liberation struggles of countries like Uganda were picked up by individuals. That's what makes, when you talk about, for example, the stake of the President of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, there's no way you will not say that the country well-being is not his stake. Because he personally picked up whatever he did to go and liberate the country with his colleagues. Then that makes it his. He has this big stake into the stability, the development. That's what I'm saying. What is at stake? The likes of Uhuru picked it up from the country was, for him it is a process. And that's why people make very unfair comparisons.
Yes.
That Obama came, this president has been here. President, you might talk about Museveni being here when Clinton was there.
Yes.
They
keep looking at all the transitions that happened. Yes.
It is because the question is simple. What is at stake? There's nothing at stake for people like Obama. They come into to just to pick up from. It's just like
be part of the process.
It's just like you know when you're passing on the is it a button or something like that? Like it's much easier for someone who has done the race from the start and supposed to see to the end, vis-a-vis someone who gets it in the middle. Like the stakes are different, and that's where we always get it wrong. When you go to Tanzania, he's been talking about Tanzania. The question is, what is at stake? You get it? Any leader can come and they refine. It's the same thing. But can any leader come in here and pick up from a military challenge?
Yes.
This country was, you know, even from independence, you've seen coup after coup after coup after coup. The question is, what is at stake? The stakes in politics of Kenya are different from Uganda, and they will never be the same, because that
and
is by design.
To other East African
that
countries.
Is by design.
Yes.
Here we have challenges. Let me tell you, that's in Ugandan politics, we ever had what we call kingdom parties.
Yes.
Even up till today, there are some parties you will align to. In Kenya, they are not there. We have religious parties here. So all these politics, the big question for us to answer, Kenya may change leaders 20 times because of this, what is at stake for them. That's why I've told you, Kenyatta loses nothing. He's just going to get a bit hurt, if he is anyway, like some of the tabloids have been saying. He refused to congratulate Ruto. That's just...
Then he goes and enjoys his retirement.
Like we say here, that's just being... It's called mood swings. He's just having a mood swing for a moment.
You'll get over it.
Because there's nothing for him to lose anyway. You get it's another Kenyan in office. And what Ruto is going to do is simply what Kenyatta. There's nothing. But when you come to countries like Uganda, you go to countries that have a historical... That's why when you go to countries like Rwanda, the political style is different. Because they have a lot at stake.
The historical background,
genocide, you know, and it is still evident that the Hutu and Tutsis, they still. So how you handle such a country is not how you handle a country like how you handle a country like Uganda. It's not how you handle a country.
So, like, one thing we really have to appreciate is that every country has its own different type of
uniqueness,
political style. Yes,
and if the biggest mistake leaders can make is to think that they can have a universal approach to democracy. That is the most lethal attribution you can make to democracy. You must look at democracy subjectively. That, again, answering democracy must be appreciated in realm of answering the question of what is at stake. What is at stake for Uganda is not what is at stake for Kenya. That's why here you'll see a one man ruling a country in a green uniform. And for those who take time to understand what is at stake, they will probably understand. And others will say, Kenya is better. It is better in its own line.
Yes.
But when you come to some of these countries, you cannot understand until you appreciate, again, what is at stake. So for the region, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for the region of East Africa, and probably later on Africa, and probably the world, that Kenya has gotten a new leader through a process that is legal, legitimate, but later on also answering what is at their stake as a country. How we relate with them depends on exactly what is also at stake. Uganda was able to go to Somalia, and everyone was questioning it. But how many times have we been bombed here? So again, what is at stake politically, in terms of security, socio-economic welfare, is how countries reply to the style of democracy. Okay.
Robert, your final shots before we close.
To me, what I can say to the people of Kenyans, elections are done and dusted. Continuous politicking is always a hindrance to successful economic development. It's now that all parties look at reconciling, because our brother Ruto should also understand, you see, democracy gives you, it was a bit of a tight race. So you must be mindful that much as you have winners, there are also those that do not support you, but you must embrace them and work together. Reconciliation is very important at such a time, and moving together in the spirit of developing Kenya is what I would say is now what Kenya needs. They must accept the process is done. How do we take Kenya forward for development purposes?
Now, when we go through the history of petitions in Kenya, these 2022 petitions are actually the third in this country from the time the Supreme Court was established, and also court upheld the 2013 presidential petition, but they nullified the 2017 election. But also, as we know, it's not only the president that was being elected in Kenya. We did have MPs, we did have governors and senators. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has gazetted Thursday to actually have MPs sworn in and senators. And also the clerk to the Parliament of Kenya did ask to all the contenders who are looking or who are eyeing the position of speakership to actually start bringing in their applications. So I must say it's going to be quite a very busy week when it comes to the political arena of Kenya, and we're yet to find out how that goes. But at least now we're very certain that the biggest part of this whole process is actually done. So we're just waiting for the final bits, the I's to be dotted and the T's to be crossed. Well, that's it from today's morning discussion. We're going in for a break. When we come back, we'll be looking at some of the big stories that have made it to our dailies. That is the New Vision, the Daily Monitor, and of course the Daily Nation, which is in Kenya. And I'm pretty sure they have quite a lot to tell us about what is happening currently. We'll be back right after this break.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello? Hello? This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey! You don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions, and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number, and you send it to her chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera, refrain from unnecessary engagement with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show. Because the real show is here on Go TV. It's the new season. It's action-packed and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of Go TV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. Go TV Uganda. Love it.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Ooh, they look nice.
Thank you, honey.
Yo! You guys gather, it's going down. Gather! Gather! Yo!
I tell you what.
Yo! Airtel is giving you bigger data bundles for the same price. Dial star 175 hash to choose from our range of bigger Chillax bundles that don't expire. Bigger monthly bundles, all for the same price. And stay connected longer to loved ones. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, in the press review this morning, looking at the new vision, Kenya election 2022 being the big story, and telling you how it is a double win for Ruto, how court ruled on the 9 petition grounds, and what next for Raila Odinga, of course. And Ugandan experts came out to analyze the judgment that was passed by the Supreme Court, of course, in relation to this petition. You can find out all these stories in the new vision. And also looking at how city schools register high turn-up on the first day. Now, yesterday was the very first day of our children that were reporting back to schools, to their respective schools for the third term. The turn-up was quite big, at least according to what the new vision is reporting this morning. And courts, Israel, UK experts to review Kagezi murder case. Now, this story is on page 3. You can get all the full details in the new vision. Now, on schools again, finance explains grants delay. And also for those of you who have O-level students, there is quite a pull-out for you. You can hand to the children to make sure that they do well in having progress registered in their academics. On to the second page, we're taking you back in history, walking the steps of history. The year was 1993 when Human Rights NGO launched. You can catch the full story in that and how vocational skills are creating opportunities for refugees. So grab yourself a copy of the new vision for those many stories and others to catch up.
Definitely the big headline, Ruto retires Raila. How, when, where, definitely is in the papers. Now, inside new changes in A-level curriculum, and of course now very much about what did happen in Kenya, forging a way forward as a country. Raila so near yet so far the 5th time. But inside the papers, 4 anti-torture victims held on way to house. And the leader of the National Unity Platform, Robert Sentamu Kyagulanyi, said the government should listen and act on the activists' demands. Now, today in history, Obote condemns assassination of SA Premier, and Indian Army evades West Pakistan. Now also looking at Truss named UK leader.
New Vision Sports, Verstappen X stands lead for those of you who are fanatics of Formula One, and you know that this guy is quite a big name for the Red Bull racing. And the Uganda golfers eye Africa title, and looking at how the UFL is going for a crucial stage in what. That is why you need to get yourself the new
game on their vices.
Sports stories and many more.
Sports, Oilers set up juicy UCU clash, and UPL returns where it's all going down. Now Cubs get going with Rujumba 7 victory, and All African Golf Challenges Kabasweka leads team Uganda. Now Monitor goes in early for UPL season, and the photo of here we see Yunus Sentamo looking forward to the new league season. But also Cubs conquer Rujumba 7s, and it's definitely they give you the standing of the various leagues that you will be interested in checking out. Now Sports Ace silence Iganga.
And moving to Kenya, the Daily Nation Decision 2022, giving you some of the final details. And they're talking about William S. Ruto, how he was confirmed as the 5th president and incoming commander-in-chief of the Kenyan Defense Forces. And there's quite other stories that you should look out for inside the paper, giving you on how and what happens, what's next for Raila, living the dream for William, and many, many more stories, and also giving you quite a detailed biography, and also looking at some of the things he's done before, some of the things he's bound to do, who is going to be in his camp, you know, all that and many more in the Daily Nation this morning. So make sure that you grab yourself copies of this and many, many more. I don't know, when I look at this, of course, Felix, I know that this man is really ready for this position, but by the time, of course, you contend for a position like this. But do you ever get to wonder whether also people like this have a bit of doubt, like the anxiety of taking on a responsibility like this one? I know there are people who are cut out to be leaders, naturally, but do you feel like this guy is, you know, showing some anxiety, or he's ready to go in, full in?
Well, of course, from the trajectory of the campaigns and previously having served in different capacities in government, I believe he's ready to take on the mantle. But one thing I learned when I've been reading as a scholar of political science, one of the things that the late Nyerere did say is that it doesn't take much for you to be a president of a country. It takes you to be a good chef, to know how to cook a good meal, to be a president. So definitely, I don't think it is scientific. You know, it's simply about, honestly, just having your country at heart. You know, it's not like it's going to the moon and back and all this, or you know, Mars or whatever it is. It's just knowing what to do, when to do it, and how definitely to do it.
You know why I asked that is because the deputy president-elect, that is Gachagua, he did say, we are taking over a dilapidated country. Now, dilapidated is quite a statement to really, it's a visual statement that I really, rather word that makes me feel like is Kenya quite a different one. But anyway, from the standards, he did say that they're taking over a dilapidated country, him and the president-elect. But I know they know what to do. If you already know what you're taking over, you clearly have strategies and plans. Well, get yourself all these dailies and get to know what's happening in Uganda, outside Uganda, in Kenya, abroad, and all the international countries. But also get to know what is happening on the roads this morning. It's a Tuesday, the 6th of September. 2022, and I must say that this morning while I was coming here, the roads are actually busier than usual. Why? Because children are back to school, and parents are getting back into the norm of dropping children as early as 6 a.m. and having to fetch them. Now, what does that mean? It means that the roads are going to be actually busier than they were in the last couple of weeks because, well, we didn't have children to take back at school. And again, what does that mean? It means that you need to be a little bit cautious on the roads. If you're not cautious before, maybe this is just a sign for you to start getting into the habit of knowing what to do on the road responsibly. And this morning, I want to focus also on some parts of of Chisasi, looking at Ntinda, looking at Bokoto and Chigowa. Now, these are very, very busy this morning. Matter of fact, most of these roads are all dotted with reds and maroons. But if I may start off from Bokoto Chisasi Road, I could say that this one is quite a no-go area this very specific morning, because the traffic has taken over the biggest part of this road. The reds here are quite dominant and showing you that the traffic in this very spot here and there is quite heavy. And this road again is also not any different, because we're seeing cars cutting across and other road users coming in. The traffic is starting to build up in some parts of this specific road. However, in others, the traffic is actually already intense. Now, this could also be because we are seeing quite a cold morning, and the rains, the drizzles are in there. So there is a possibility that very many people are trying to get to work in time, rushing to work. Now, you know what that means. Everybody's struggling to get space on the road. So yes, around Bokoto, I could say it is very busy, as of course you're trying to connect to Chira, old Chira Road. But again, before we get into that, still coming in from this part of that area, Bokoto Chisasi, again, right here, we're seeing quite a very busy part of the road. Again, if this is your usual route, I really feel bad to tell you that it's quite very heavy with the traffic this morning. It's getting onto it. Crossing over to Ntinda 2 Road, well, it does have its own free areas to navigate through. However, there are certain traffic spots over here. We're seeing some traffic building up, so you need to plan for that accordingly. And again, as you proceed, we find that over here we have some traffic again building up. And if you're using Katalima Road as your detour, well, I hate to tell you that also the traffic is quite busy on this very specific road. Getting off from Ntinda Road as you're continuing towards Naguru, I must say that the traffic goes on building as you go further ahead. Well, you need to put that into consideration as you're clearly trying to join Nakawa Road. And around this area of Nakawa, I could say, which is also part of the main road, that is Kampala Jinja, it's also having traffic starting to build up on several parts. So yes, this is a main road that we have very many people trying to connect to, people coming in from Tinda, people coming in from Bwegere, people coming in from Chirika, people coming in from all over as you're getting there. Now, looking at also New Port Boy Road, cars coming in, of course, from this very part as they're trying to join the main road. There is again some traffic over there, and continuing all the way towards the main area, main Kampala city. This is around Ministry of Internal Affairs, which is always quite a very busy area again, because we have people trying to get into the main road. People coming in from Wampel Avenue over here, the traffic is not really something simple for you this morning, as people also try to join all the way from here. Again, it's not quite an easy one for you. We have people trying to connect in from Makindye Division using Access Road, from areas of Nsambia, areas of Muyenga and all coming in from this side of the city, trying to get onto the main road. The traffic this side is again not letting them be. As you're continuing all the way, I could say that you will be expecting quite some heavy traffic. But also on some of the Kampala roads, there's some constructions going on, and I mean, especially from the areas I have seen, people using the Waligo route and also trying to connect from Gayaza, people trying to connect from Chebando. I've seen some works going on some of those roads. So again, I urge you to be quite very careful to make sure that you are quite in the best side of the roads, and also to make sure that you don't have those cars damaged. Well, like I did say, a lot of work is happening on the roads. People are using the road more and more every other day. Now we have children getting back to school, and yes, you're gonna expect some busy hours on most of our roads, so it may not be the same case. And like I always say every morning, make sure you don't find yourself on the wrong side of the law, and make sure that you are not taken off the road by the traffic people. Make sure you always move with your driving permits. Again, this is something that I have also noticed, because they will stop you just to see if you are a licensed driver. make sure that you move with the identification to show that you are the right person to be on the road. That's it from the traffic updates this morning. Well, we do have a lot still yet to come. We will be having the Good Morning Uganda agenda in the next hour with Uncle Bob, that is Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono. We're having an exclusive interview, so make sure you do stick around with us. And sports updates will also be coming in much later. GMU Extra has the extra scoop for you, the extra info and the extra entertainment. So make sure you also stick around for that. On our social media platforms, we're streaming live on YouTube. Get onto our Twitter. The hashtag is UBCGMU and catch up on all our discussions and of course our engagements and be part of them as well. And do not forget to send us those text messages about the discussions at hand. We'll be of course reading them out to the rest of the family. I am Philomena Mastiko. I wish you a productive Tuesday morning.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show, because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Welcome to English in a Minute. As a verb, to catch means to capture or hold on to something. As a noun, it's a game where two people throw and catch a ball.
You know that house I was looking at last week?
Yes.
Well, I checked this morning and the price went down from $200,000 to $75,000.
Wow, that sounds great. But Jonathan, what's the catch?
The owner said last week's rainstorm completely flooded the basement and first floor.
We use the phrase, "what's the catch?" when something sounds too good for it to be possible. If something sounds too good, there may be a catch. And that's English in a Minute.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent near me. I've sent the money to your phone, as you can see the message. It might take a few minutes to come through, but I urgently need you to send the money to my mother. Let me send you her number and you send it to her chap chap.
My friend, I'm afraid your mom is going to die.
What?
Because I don't know you, I never went to campus, and I'm also in Gulu. So can we meet at CPS, we talk about it?
Stay tuned for what Kasozi does next.
Tofera. Refrain from unnecessary engagement with strangers over the phone. This message is powered by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show. Because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN cupboard. That's super easy.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here. In the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's what you feel in the gentle caress of tropical wind from the mountaintops. And the glow in your heart from a warm neighborly invite. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking to the taste of food that takes you on a journey. In the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth. In the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show. Because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Oh, they look nice.
Thank you, honey.
Yo!
Guys, gather, it's going down. Gather! Gather! Yo!
I tell you what.
Airtel is giving you bigger data bundles for the same price. Dial *175# to choose from our range of bigger Chillax bundles that don't expire. Bigger monthly bundles, all for the same price, and stay connected longer to loved ones. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Happiness comes to us in many places. It's in knowing the mosquito net keeps our children healthy. The wife having the support of her husband. It's in deciding together when to have a baby. And for some, focusing on what's important right now. So what's your happiness? Make the right health decisions to ensure happiness for you and your family.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us, and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the exciting moments we experience. Ours is the kind of beauty that comes in all things big and small. All we have to do is awaken our senses and truly enjoy what's uniquely ours. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning and thank you.